Does every narcissistic relationship lead to self-abandonment? Two women leave the same relationship. Same lies. Same broken promises. Same years lost. One walks out unable to recognize her own reflection. The other walks out furious, clear-eyed, and completely herself. What happened in between those two front doors is the question that should terrify anyone who has ever loved the wrong person, because the answer isn't about the relationship at all. It's about a decision so quiet, so invisible, that most people never even know they made it. At first glance, it looks like every toxic relationship follows the same script. It usually does. It begins with something that feels less like dating and more like being chosen. Constant attention. Late-night messages. The sense that someone has finally, truly seen you. On paper, it looks like love moving fast. Underneath, it's something else entirely, a hook, set early, before anyone has time to ask questions. By the time the relationship deepens, a shared apartment, a ring, a child, a joint account, the warmth starts to cool. Slowly at first. A comment here. A joke that isn't really a joke. Then something sharper, you're too sensitive. You're remembering it wrong. You're the reason this keeps happening. Here's the thing, this is the exact moment where two people, standing in the identical fire, start walking in opposite directions. For most people, something ancient takes over. Not weakness. Wiring. The human need for connection is older than logic, older than self-respect, and when the mind is forced to choose between losing the relationship or losing its own certainty, it very often sacrifices the certainty first. Turns out, it's far less painful to believe you're the problem than to accept that someone you love is hurting you on purpose. So the disappearing act begins. Not all at once, a slow leap. An opinion goes unspoken to avoid a fight. A friendship quietly fades because it causes issues. A hobby gets shelved. A boundary gets redrawn, then redrawn again. None of it feels like losing yourself in the moment. It feels like keeping the peace. But peace built on self-erasure has a cost, and it compounds. Months pass. Then years. And one day, a person catches their own reflection in a window and doesn't fully recognize what's looking back. That's the story most people expect. It gets even worse when you realize it isn't the only outcome, and understanding why reveals something almost nobody talks about. Because somewhere else, in a relationship built from the same ingredients, the same manipulation, the same cruelty, the same refusal to take responsibility, a different kind of person is living through it completely unbroken. They're not immune to pain. They cry in parking lots. They lie awake replaying arguments. Financial pressure, family obligations, fear of a custody battle, any number of forces can keep them exactly where they are, sometimes for years. But something in them refuses to bend the way the truth does. They call the manipulation what it is. They don't wonder what they did to deserve it. They stay exhausted, but they stay themselves. So what actually separates these two people? It isn't willpower. It isn't intelligence. It isn't how much they loved. It traces back further, to a version of them that existed long before this relationship began. The people who keep their identity intact almost always carry something with them into the fire, a childhood where their voice was allowed to exist without punishment, or a place in the world where being believed was never something they had to fight for. A kind of armor, built early, without them even realizing it was being forged. And the people who lose themselves. Often, they learned a very different lesson long before they ever met their partner, that needing something, saying something, wanting something, came with a price. For them, walking into a relationship that punishes honesty doesn't feel foreign. It feels, disturbingly, like coming home. That's where everything shifts, because this isn't really a story about toxic partners anymore. It's a story about which version of a person walked through the door in the first place. And that's the part nobody talks about. Self-abandonment, not the partner's cruelty, is the real accelerant. The manipulation is the spark. But it's the slow surrender of self that turns a bad relationship into a person's undoing. spilling into isolation, into anxiety that follows them into every future relationship, into a vulnerability that makes them easy to deceive all over again. For the ones who never abandon themselves, the war stays outside their skin. It's exhausting, it's a battle against a person who will never change, but it doesn't touch who they are underneath. For the ones who did abandon themselves, the war moves inside. And that's a different kind of healing entirely, not just escaping a room filled with smoke, but slowly, carefully, remembering how to breathe again. Rebuilding a person from memory, piece by piece, moment by moment. Because leaving isn't actually the finish line. Anyone can walk out a door. The real question, the one that determines everything that comes after, is whether the person who walks out is still, in any recognizable way, the person who walked in. That's the line between surviving a relationship and surviving yourself. And once you see it, you can't stop noticing it. In every story of love gone wrong, in every person who stayed too long, in every quiet moment someone chose the relationship over the truth. The room fills with smoke either way. The only question that matters is who's still standing when it clears.